Welcome back to Wander Freely. We are taking a fast, abbreviated look at our building process for Wanderer's Rest, our new home. We will be showing you the phases of the build and explaining our relevant decisions so that you can see how our choices panned out. The build actually begins after closing on our construction loan, but prior to that, we did have some of the excavating work completed so that we could keep on track. Paying cash for the excavating work made this possible. We have officially broken ground. Is this considered breaking ground? We've started the site work.
Hey, that's right. First
That's
in the ground, you've broken ground.
That's breaking ground. I like it. I will consider that breaking ground. We had dirt removed, trees removed, our sand mound created, and our driveway stoned. So that was like really cool to pull up on our road and actually see a little bit of stone driveway. We do have our building permit in hand, but we are waiting for, at this point, we just found out about our appraisal, went through with the bank like 2 days ago, and everything is looking good there, but we have not closed yet, and we do have to get certain papers signed before we can start the building part of it. We were so glad to have some of this prep work done because we planned for our foundation work to start the same day as closing. We were pushing a really tight schedule because we had to get our foundation and slab finished before the temperatures dropped below freezing, and we were cutting it close. We closed on the construction loan on October 17th. We are out here after closing. We literally started the day of closing right afterwards. So yeah, that's awesome.
So today you can see the progress that's going on behind us. We started out this morning, it was just a flat pad. The first thing that the mason slash concreter was out here along with the excavator. And the first thing we did was lay out the corners for the whole foundation. Once they had that set, double checked, and they knew everything was where it needed to be, we made sure that side yard setbacks and everything were taken into account. So we had the location of the pad set. Then they started digging. Dug all the exterior strip footings, the foundation walls. You can see that's what they're finishing up now, and they actually have concrete scheduled that's going to be here pretty soon. They're going to be pouring the strip footings today, which is great considering where we started this morning. It's really getting a lot done in one day. So also, before the concrete can get poured, the local building inspector comes out, looks at the bottom of the footings, makes sure everything's okay there. He's actually already been out. He just left, and he said everything looks really good, so things are going great. So hopefully we're going to get some concrete poured here real soon. Here we are, just coming along the back wall of the house, and for the majority of the exterior footings, the residential building code, you don't have to put it's site specific, but in our case we didn't have to put continuous rebar in the footing. But I did have them add some rebar in this area right here. Because we have a vaulted ceiling in the great room, I've got a structural ridge beam supporting the roof, and that's supported by a post in the exterior wall. Well, that post comes down, it's going to bear on the foundation wall, and that's the section of the footing that's underneath that point load. So we had them put some rebar in there just to strengthen that portion of the strip footing to distribute that load. Similarly, you can see the hole over there. That's where another column's coming down, so we're putting a spread footing. And that little grid there, that's the rebar mat that's going to go in that concrete spread footing for that post.
And here comes the concrete. Pulling up the driveway. Wow. We had a very productive first day, and our project started very strong. Chris also had to acquire 2 pieces of PVC to use as the sleeves for our well and septic line. The rest of the week was spent in laying up the CMU foundation wall. We are in our second week of the actual build, and as you can see, they have now finished up the block wall and actually done the parging as well. Chris can tell us a little bit more about what is actually happening.
Hey everybody. Yeah, so for the house itself, you can see all the block walls are up. They've actually got all of the anchor rods in the top of the block. That's what the bottom plate of the exterior walls gets anchored to. So all of those are set. They've got we have a couple little exterior stoops at some of our doors that they're going to finish up tomorrow. But the house itself, all the exterior foundation wall is done. That's a 6-inch sleeve that we put in. That's where the sanitary line is going to leave the house and go out to the septic tanks. That's the kind of stuff that you want to think through as you're laying up your foundation.
One thing that we do have here is where our beams are going to be coming. Well, we're going to have a huge structural beam that goes across because we have the vaulted ceiling. And so you have where the post is going to be coming down there, they poured, and then the other post is going to be coming down here. So Chris just put some rocks in here just to indicate he's going to talk to our guy tomorrow, but he'll be explaining that he wants gravel. What do you want in here? Grout. He wants some extra grout there because he knows that's where that post is coming down. So it's just these little things, you know, he just loves being out here and checking it out and making a difference, you know, in the moment here as things are actually building, which he usually doesn't get to do. He usually, you know, submits his plans and that's the end of it. So this is pretty exciting. To finish off the second week, the plumber roughed in the underslab piping, our excavator backfilled the foundation walls, and laid the underslab stone. Today we are getting an early start and we're going to have an all-in day at the house because we have to get the radiant floor heating done. Tomorrow they have scheduled the slab, the concrete people are showing up at 7:30 in the morning, so the entire radiant floor heating system needs to be laid today. And it's kind of, we thought, you know, well, maybe if we don't get it done, you know, we can push it, but starting the day after tomorrow, some rain is going to start for several days. So we really need to be able to get this done today. So Chris called in the big guns, right?
That's right. We got Jenny coming to the site today.
He called in the big guns, which is me, obviously. So Chris, what does that consist of, doing the in-floor radiant heat today?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a plastic vapor barrier down on top of the stone that's out there and has all already been leveled. Once that's down, we'll put, there's two different types of insulation. One is the horizontal insulation. It's almost 3 inches thick. And it's got, with insulation you have an R value, an R rating, just in terms of how much insulating value it has. So that horizontal insulation has an R10. So we'll lay that down along the whole footprint of the house, everywhere under the slab. And then along the perimeter, there's a little 1 inch thick board that's R5. We'll put that all the way around the perimeter. So we get all that in place. And then the horizontal insulation actually has grooves in it that the in-floor radiant heat piping kind of snaps into, and that piping's at 9 inches on center, so there's a whole lot of it. So we'll spend a lot of time helping the plumber run that network of piping, and there's numerous different loops of piping that we'll have throughout the whole house.
Then the slab's going to get poured over top of all that.
That's right. We do all this today, and then tomorrow slab gets poured over top of it and encases all of that.
Now it's supposed to be windy today, so how did you prepare for that?
Well, obviously, you know, from a construction standpoint, so we're working with big plastic sheets for the vapor barrier, right? So that could want to blow all around. So some of the lumber that we're going to need next week, I'm having them deliver this morning so we can use that. It's long 2x6 pieces, so we can use that to lay down on the plastic as we get it down. And then once the insulation goes over, of course that'll hold down the plastic, but the insulation doesn't have a whole lot of weight to it as well, so we can use those same boards to hold the insulation board down as we work across the slab. And then just to make sure everything stays in place till tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning before the slab's poured, obviously we'll get out there, we'll remove those boards, and it should be good to go. Other than that, in terms of preparation, we just bundle up. It's going to be a little chilly out there.
And, well, no, I think that's good to notice, because I think, like, the one thing I'm noticing watching you go through this is that it's just really all about, like, you have the design, you have your plan, you know what you're going to do, and yet at the same time, the majority of it is just problem solving.
Yeah, it's just reacting to the elements as they come up, and, you know, you have a plan that this is what we'll do if everything goes well, or perfect, which never happens. Then you just kind of adjust into it as you go. And like all the subs that I have, they're not just working on my job. I'm in their schedule, but sometimes they get pulled to other things. So you've got to be, you know, respectful of that. And they certainly want to get your job done too. So yeah, there's a lot of variables in it that you just have to.
I think, you know, like, I feel like you spend time just solving problems, which
yeah,
you're good at, thank goodness. So we're good.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, we gotta go. We gotta get out on site. Let's
Time
go.
to get
Finish that.
Yeah,
that
sure.
breakfast.
This was a critical day for Chris. Not only was it necessary to stay on schedule so we could beat the rain, but it also marked a turning point in the job. Up to this point, Chris was out on site almost every day. He was up at 3:30 a.m. doing his regular job until 8 a.m., then going out on site for the day and finishing his day with more of his regular job. But once we got the slab poured, he would get a break while the slab set and the framers started. Chris and I laid the vapor barrier first, then we laid all of the blue perimeter insulation while the plumbers laid the yellow insulation boards. Next, all of the piping was laid.
One other thing I wanted to note is here you can see how they ran the loops. So there's a supply and return coming back here for each loop, and then they mark them so that they know for their own reference, so they'll know what they're doing once they, we move forward. We are just finishing up. The plumbers have left. A third guy came out and helped, which was nice because he was able to finish this last portion of the yellow insulation while the other two guys started the running the actual piping. And you can see this just looks so cool. I cannot wait to have in-floor radiant heat. I mean, that was like the one big thing that I really wanted here at our home, so I am super, super excited about this. And it went really, really well. We didn't get it completely done.
Chris had to problem solve a bit, and he ended up calling our mason.
Starting at 7:30, he pushed it back so the concrete truck's going to show up at 11, which gives us, about 3-4 hours to run the piping over here, and then they can put an air test on the whole thing. And
which we do have to have that
good.
inspected. That is something that needs to be inspected. So
That's right.
So that's something that needs to be scheduled. Chris is also going to be calling the framer tonight because now we are good to go for sure. We're pouring tomorrow. He's going to let him know it's getting poured tomorrow because maybe he can come out the end of the week depending on what the rain does.
Yeah, it depends what the weather does, but once the slab sets up for a couple days, you can usually start working on it. So yeah, we'll let him know that things are right on track and going well, and tomorrow's a big day, so we're looking forward to it.
The next day, which was Tuesday, October 31st, the plumbers finished the piping in the morning and the concrete slab was poured in the afternoon. It was just in the nick of time. The following day, the rain started and then temperatures dropped below freezing. Due to their schedules, the framers could not begin until the following week, so the rest of the third week was spent in waiting for the slab to set. Week 4 started the framing of the house.
Well, here we are, guys, and you can see things are really starting to take shape now. The framers have been at it for only 3 days, and the first day was rainy for a lot of the morning, and you can see how much they've gotten done already.
Framing is one of the more exciting points of the build because it finally allows you to truly see and feel what the building will be like. Up to this point, we have only seen it on paper as we sketched out what our dreams were, but now we were seeing our home come to life. Thank you for joining us for the first video in our building series. The next video will start with finishing the framing.